So this hot take is going to definitely have a lot of people hating on me for what I'm about to say, but let's talk about it. So it's no secret, if you look anywhere where people talk about my opinion on things, that I haven't particularly loved the DCEU as it's currently existed. I loved Wonder Woman, but the third act I didn't think was the greatest. It kind of falls into some of the other comic book movies that we've gotten, even from the Marvel Cinematic Universe, where the third act you're just like, why? Why'd you do that? But the rest of the movie was great. I actually enjoyed Justice League more than most people, so that's that. I didn't like Batman v Superman. I found Suicide Squad alright, and Man of Steel, it's alright, I guess, but I didn't like some of the decisions they made, particularly at the end. So to me, the DCEU has been on the way out, or what was the DCEU when I talk about it. Now when it comes to the worlds of DC Comics, I'm more excited about this than I've been for the DC movies ever since before the release of Man of Steel. And essentially, you have to look at it from a perspective of someone whose favorite DC character is Aquaman and whose favorite comic character is Aquaman. You know, I don't call him a superhero because you have to read Aquaman to understand why he's not really a superhero, why he falls into a different type of category of hero. Almost like an anti-hero, but not quite a vigilante, but you have to read that. And please don't read like the New 52, that's a little weird. Read the 2000s run if you want like the best example of Aquaman to me. And a lot of people have known this since the CBC. They've been saying, look, we know you love DC, but why are you hating on it? And I've always go, look, I don't hate the DC comics. Certainly not. When I used to do reviews and stuff, you guys would see me praise them. I just didn't like the direction that the movies were heading in. DC, in its nature, is more optimistic in comics than Marvel. Marvel likes to ground things, and they go in weird directions like Secret Empire, right? Hydra, freaking Captain America ruling and killing all the superheroes? DC did that in like Red Sun style, but that was like an offshoot, right? That's not their main. When you look at DC, you aspire to be these characters. They're perfect. You know, Superman is statues, he's perfect. Aquaman, ruling the seas, having high seas adventures, right? Like, that's what they are. They're gods. They're living gods. That's so awesome. That always made me love DC. Marvel, on the other hand, has always been more on a ground level and grungy and like weird when it comes to all these aspects, right? Other than Batman over at the DC, there's nobody that's really like that. Marvel, you have Spider-Man, you have all the X-Men. They're all these levels of different real aspects that they're trying to convey, right? And like political commentary. And granted, Marvel and DC have done that both, but Marvel's always been more prominent with it. So when the DC movies try to go dark and gritty and like neck snapping and doing all these crazy things I didn't like, I didn't feel that those were gods I was looking up to. I felt that these were flawed people that didn't necessarily represent exactly what I was seeing in the comics. Now, yes, in the comics they have flaws. Of course they do. But they're not like that. And of course people always bring up, Batman's killed people, Superman's killed people. You give me like 3 or 4 examples out of 75 years of each character. And since the original Crisis, where they've really defined these characters and not touched upon their other stories, like the side stories and Elseworlds and stuff, they've been defined as Superman will not kill. So when you break that rule, and when every comic book writer, including Snyder, has to go out there and make fun of you, you've probably messed up with the hardcore fans. And I think that's a problem. When it comes to the world of DC, or Worlds of DC, their new film brand, I can't help but be so happy that it literally just, it makes me smile when I think about it. Because watching that Aquaman trailer, as you guys saw, that's what I've always wanted an Aquaman movie to be. And a lot of people brought up, but this guy always hated Jason Momoa as Arthur. He was never happy, he's just faking it. Of course I wasn't happy. He was being put into a grimdark world where he was a beer, alcohol swinging freaking, you know, I don't even know what he was going for, some sort of savage thing that's not Aquaman that Zack Snyder was going to do. Why would I be happy about that when he's my favorite and he's nothing like that? Arthur is literally one of the funniest, most energetic characters in the DC comics. So why would you not put that with him, right? Why was Superman always sour and like down on luck, right? Why did Batman have to teach people the lesson of being a team member? That doesn't make sense. That's out of character. It just didn't make sense to me. So I wasn't feeling it. But Wonder Woman turned that around, partially, besides the third act. And then you watch the trailers to Shazam and Aquaman. And you truly witness a rebirth of what they're going for. Because these movies 100% are being made without Snyder's input and that universe he was building. Yes, he's an executive producer, but be real, how much do they actually do when their name is attached on it? Not much. I mean, ever? Really? Like, what do they do? Not a whole lot. So, he's not really involved anymore. And James Wan gave him the reins to Aquaman. And look at what he's done. It's literally comic to life. Shazam, comic to life. Wonder Woman 2, by all reports, it's different. It's complete. They even said it's kind of like a reboot. We're not really hanging on to what was established before because we're going to be brighter and more fun and tackle the Cold War in a different way. That sounds awesome. Because these characters are once again aspiring to be gods. They're giving me hope. They're not just giving me hope that's like, oh man, I'm hopeful for these movies. They're giving me hope that they're going to be the titans and the icons that I've always read in the comic books and saw in the cartoons that they've never been in the live action iteration so far. Isn't that something worth celebrating? I don't know about you guys, but I'm so happy with what we got. And I'm so happy with the DC universe going forward with films that the more I think about it, the more I get giddy and can't possibly contain my excitement. Because this is the first time that people are seeing Aquaman in the light that I've always seen him in. As just an amazing character that needs more appreciation. Shazam's gonna get the same effect. There's a solo Joker movie, and who knows what else is coming at us. DC's finally going to compete to Marvel on a level where everybody can agree they're offering something unique and interesting. I'm so glad that the past and the DCEU version of DC is behind us. I can't even express it.